Now, I'm normally really super organized when it comes to my videos here on YouTube. I really take my time to think about the topics that are going to be of benefit to you. I listen a lot to like the inner inspiration that I get when it comes to video content. But this week, I literally have had no idea what to do a video about. Now, it's partly because I'm a bit distracted by some other projects that I've got going on in the not too distant future, but I was like, hold on, maybe this actually can be the perfect video topic, because whether you plan to visit Italy or move to Italy, you are going to come across a point where you feel like you don't have a clue. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you some questions that you can ask yourself so that you can get unstuck and regain that forward momentum, whether you're planning your next holiday here or you're planning your next big move here. So with that said and done, let's get into the video. Okay, the first place you kind of need to start is, why do you want to come to Italy? Now, this is twofold, whether you plan to visit here or move here. It's a really important question because it's going to help you to get a bit clearer on the things you're going to do when you're here, and most importantly, where in Italy you're going to base yourself. So let's begin with those of you who plan to visit Italy on holiday. Why? Why do you want to come here? Is it because you've been before? Is it because you've seen some amazing videos and pictures on social media? Is it because it's like a bucket list destination that you've always had as a dream to visit? Why? And I want you to kind of dig a bit deeper with this. This is why I say it's twofold, because it's not just your surface level answers that I want you to really think about, but go a bit deeper and really arrive at that solid foundation as to why you want to visit Italy. This is going to help you because you are then going to be able to plan an experience that is going to match the expectations that you have deep down when it comes to visiting this country. You're going to be a bit clearer on the things that you absolutely want to do and see, where you want to stay in Italy, and the overall vibe and experience that you want to have. This is why it's super important to think about this. And really, when we plan a holiday, I think safe to say we don't really spend a lot of time thinking about this. We just decide upon a location, and then before we know it, we've planned the entire trip. But I really think if you want a really special experience, and if you want to really feel the heart and soul of this country, you need to ask yourself this question, because it's definitely going to kind of affect the overall time that you spend here. Now, for those of you that plan to move to Italy, this question is even more significant, because moving to Italy is just the beginning. When you actually arrive here, that is when you really begin the whole process of adjustment, getting used to life here, dealing with cultural differences, language. There are a whole heap of things that you go through when you first move to Italy. And if you do not know why on earth you are in Italy to begin with, this is going to be a really challenging and difficult time for you. And it may mean that you even question your decision altogether. So I really believe that you need to spend a lot of time sitting down, reflecting and thinking about this question, because it's really going to impact the quality of life that you are going to have here in Italy. It's going to really mean that you get really clear and build a strong foundation as to why Italy is your chosen country that will weather you during the storms that you will inevitably encounter at some point in your life here. So really do spend some time sitting with this. Dive deep, journal, brainstorm, whatever you need to do to get outside of you onto paper and into like the visual form, the real reason why you want to make Italy your home. Then once you've got that, you kind of want to kind of say to yourself, what are my non-negotiables when it comes to Italy? Non-negotiables, I love this, because really and truly we all have things that we want to maintain, whether we are moving here or we're visiting Italy. There are certain things that are important to us, and we want to make sure that we can still retain those even though we're in another country. So starting with those of you who want to visit Italy, if you aren't clear on your non-negotiables, you may very well end up staying in a part of Italy that really isn't suitable and doesn't meet your needs in the way that you had hoped. Now, your non-negotiables when you're visiting Italy might include you want to stay in a place that is really well connected. That means that you can then have the possibility to explore other parts of Italy if you so wish. So you have that flexibility. Now, I will say when it comes to staying somewhere that's well connected, don't solely base your decision on the bus network, because the bus network across all of Italy is really questionable. So it's not the most reliable form of transport. So I think if you're going to base your decision on something being well connected, look more to the trains than to the buses. But of course, if you have both, that's an extra bonus. Now, another non-negotiable you might have when it comes to visiting Italy is where you want to be. Do you want to be in the heart of the action? Do you want to be in the main city of a place, or would you prefer to be in the countryside or in the suburbs? You might also want to be asking yourself about the kinds of experience you want to have. Do you want to have a relaxing, all-inclusive experience where you don't have to think about anything? Or would you prefer to have a more authentic holiday where you go where the locals go and you sample the food that the locals themselves eat? These are some really clear and important non-negotiables. And even more so if you have specific requirements, for example, mobility or disability needs, or even requirements when it comes to dietary needs as well. So really get clear on your non-negotiables, because this is going to really help you to plan a much better holiday on the back of it than if you don't pay any attention to these at all. Now, when it comes to moving to Italy, your non-negotiables are super important. You need to know exactly why you want to move to Italy, first and foremost, and then you need to know exactly what is important for you in your life here. Do you want to be close to a city centre? Do you want to be within walking distance of the main shops and services? Do you need to be near anything in particular, like a school, for example? Do you want to be in the countryside, or would you prefer to be in a busier environment? What kind of home do you want to live in? Do you want to live in an apartment, in a residence, or would you prefer to have an independent home, such as a villa? So many questions, so many things you need to think about when it comes to your non-negotiables, because when you get really crystal clear on this and you draw up a list of your non-negotiables, this is going to help you to pinpoint exactly where in Italy is going to be best for you and exactly the type of accommodation you should be looking for. And it's just going to make this whole process so much easier. It's the process of elimination when you decide that you want to move to Italy. You've got to filter out the places that aren't quite the right fit for you until you find the one place that's just right. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think there is one place in Italy that is 100% perfect. However, you will find a place that meets your needs and your non-negotiables. But until you've figured those out, it's going to be very difficult for you to begin to understand where that could be. So spend quite a bit of time with this, because it really and truly is a very, very important aspect when you're thinking about moving to Italy. The next question you want to be asking yourself when you're feeling a bit stuck is, what's my budget? Now, this is applicable in both aspects. If you plan to visit Italy, you need to have an idea of the kind of budget you're willing to spend or able to spend in the first place, because this is definitely going to impact the sorts of experiences and activities you can do here and the type of holiday that you actually end up having, as well as the accommodation you may choose to stay in. Now, I will say to you, in a very generalized, broad context, the north of Italy is generally more expensive compared to central and south Italy, although Rome is generally pretty expensive because it's the capital city of Italy. So you have got that to factor in as well. Of course, seasonal differences may impact the cost of what you'll pay for things. So if you want to come here in the summer, then unfortunately you are going to pay top end for accommodation and most activities during that time as well. It's just the way that it is. Spring and autumn tend to be better times to come and visit Italy, just because it's not considered to be peak season. Also, you're going to want to think about like where in Italy you want to base yourself. If budget is like really, really important, then you are going to want to be as close to all of the things you want to be near to as possible, so that you don't have to spend money on transport or on taxes. So you've got to do your homework a bit. Think outside of the box. Think of places that are maybe not the normal touristical cities and locations that people flock to, because they do tend to be more expensive. And think of some other like ways that you might want to spend your time here, like some other activities. If you are here at the beginning of every month in Italy, a lot of the major museums and historical places of interest are free entry on the first Sunday of every month. I mean, if you know that, you can save yourself some money on some of the activities that you plan to do. So spend a bit of time with this if you're on a budget here. It's not impossible. I will say though that you do need to be realistic with your expectations here, and also really consider like doing things in a more authentic way, because essentially, especially here in the south of Italy, it is possible to come here on a budget. Watch this video up here. I show you how you can spend an entire day in Palermo, food included, for just 20 euros. So it really is possible, but you do have to put a bit more work in when you come here on a budget on holiday. So yes, go ahead and spend some time on that. And I think that you can create a wonderful experience on the budget that you have available. When it comes to moving to Italy, your budget is going to have to encompass a lot of different things. Aside from the obvious factors like moving costs, shipping costs, etc. By the way, watch this video here where I talk about the things that I think you really do need to bring to Italy when you're moving here, and the things that you can just leave back in your country. Because I really do believe moving here light is one of the best methods for having a smooth transition. So go ahead and watch that video next. But essentially your budget is going to have to encompass a lot of different things. It's going to depend on whether or not you plan to buy or rent a home here. It's going to depend on whether or not you want to, if you plan to rent or buy, this is applicable. You're going to have to think about costs like extra charges every month, like condominium fees if your apartment is in a residence, for example, and you have to contribute towards the service and cleaning of the building. There are a lot of different things you've got to factor in. Medical costs, for example, if you need to pay for your medical insurance because perhaps you're not working here and are not contributing to it in any other way. You need to also think about kind of the cost of living, like the cost of going out and, you know, eating out and doing activities and travel. Like I will say again, really broadly, the north does tend to be more expensive compared to the south, particularly when it comes to accommodation and just overall like leisure expenses. You can spend a very little amount of money here in the south of Italy when it comes to eating out, particularly here in Sicily. Street food is really inexpensive and just absolutely delicious. So you've just got to kind of manage your expectations a bit. You've got to understand what is the money that you want to allow for the lifestyle that you intend to live here in Italy. And this is going to involve you doing some research, watching videos on the cost of things here, and kind of managing them against what you had expected and what budget you have available. Watch this video here where I talk about the cost of living here in Palermo if you're interested to have a kind of rough idea. It's impossible to give a precise amount because it really does depend on your own individual needs, but it can give you a kind of ballpark figure as to the sort of money that you can expect to pay. But budget is super important and you definitely need to get that sorted out if you intend to move to Italy. So it's time to start calculating. Okay, the next thing you want to be asking yourself in order to start gaining some forward momentum again is, where in Italy do I like? Like, where in Italy really appeals to me, either because I've seen something about it on social media, or because somebody I know has gone there, or just because it's something I've seen in a film. Where in Italy really appeals to me? Draw up a short list of places. This is applicable whether you choose to live or visit Italy. This is the exact same process you should follow. And then do some research on those places. YouTube, this wonderful university of life that is available to all of you for free, is a great resource and platform to really find content creators living in that particular part of Italy. Watch their videos, listen to their advice, take things with a pinch of salt. No two people's experiences will be the same. I've always said this, but it's a great way to begin this process so you can really start to identify where could be a good place to either visit on holiday or move to. So this is definitely a really good thing. And once you've done that, you can draw up a short list of like 2 or 3 places and then start researching against all of the criteria we've mentioned before, your non-negotiables, your budget, etc. So these questions are a great way to get yourself unstuck, because sometimes it can feel like you have no clue about Italy in whichever aspect you're looking at it. Now, if you plan to visit Palermo especially, and you are really stuck and you have no clue, I suggest you go and check out my website, msbrittany.com. I'll put a link up here because I have created a bespoke personalized travel guide for Palermo, where I will work with you to create something that is going to give you a truly authentic experience based around your individual needs and save you hours of time researching on the internet. So go check that out. If you plan to move to Italy, I have just launched a brand new service, my expat consultation calls, where for 1 hour of your time, we will sit together and you can ask me as many questions as you have about living in South Italy, moving to South Italy, and I can help you to get a bit clearer on the process and to build up a bit of a framework so you know what next step you need to take. Because sometimes it can feel like everything is up here and you need to kind of bounce some ideas off somebody who is actually living in the south of Italy and has been living in the south of Italy for some time, and who is also a fellow expat, so completely understands the whole feeling, adjustment, thought process that goes into living in another country. So this is a brand new service that I've just launched. I will link it up here on my website so you can go and check it out. But again, this is really invaluable if you plan to move to South Italy and you want to speak to somebody about the process and just kind of get some tips and advice and understand things a bit better. Because I honestly wish that this service existed when I first made the move to Italy back in 2018, because I learned so much along the way and made so many mistakes. So I really wish that I had known about something like this. So go and check it out if you're feeling a bit stuck about moving to Italy, and I'll see you in the next video.